Some people are said to be born with the ability to make real music. It can go via the between life and death, summon spirits, and offer healing to their communities, but it can also draw evil. Sammy lived in Mississippi in 1932, enters the church in the middle of the Sunday service. He looks exhausted and has blood on him, his clothes. Jedediah is the priest in the area and Sammy's father, starts praying for his son while Sammy gets flashbacks of a scary beast. The man hugs Sammy as he confesses that he should cease playing the devil's music and repent, but Sammy only grabs on harder to his broken guitar while still recalling the demons. This begun a day ago. Twin brothers Smoke and Stack return home after spending years in the army and then in Chicago working for the mob. Thanks to the money they stole from thugs, they buy an old sawmill structure and its land from old Ku Klux Klan member Hogwood. Brothers warn Hogwood that if they see him or any of his Klan cronies near their new property, they'll kill them on the place. Hogwood smiles and assures them that the Klan doesn't exist anymore. Meanwhile, Sammy finds his guitar in the church and Jedediah tells him he brought it there because he wants his son to help him with the sermon tomorrow. Jedediah makes him read a verse from the Bible to remind him not to fall for temptations, but Sammy wants to leave. He's finished working and now wants to rest. An upset Jedediah scolds his son for wanting to play music for drunkards rather than being with deity, and tells him that this will get the devil's attention. At that moment, the twins come to pick Sammy up, saying he's their cousin. The trio drives to the woods to find a truck that the twins hit earlier. There's a snake in the back, but they rapidly kill it with a knife. Then Smoke drives the truck to town and pays a young girl to maintain an eye on it before going to the grocery shop owned by his old friend Bo and his wife Grace. After a pleasant reunion, Smoke tells he and his brother will be opening a juke joint. Therefore, he wants the business to be their food providers and make some signs. Suddenly, Smoke hears the vehicle honk and comes out to see two guys trying to take his alcohol hoard. He quickly starts fire, hurting a guy in the butt and the other in the leg. The robbers instantly regret their crimes when they observe who the shooter is, as everyone in town knows the twins' dangerous reputation. Meanwhile, Stack drives the car while giving Sammy filthy advice on how to impress a woman. Sammy is more interested in learning how the twins' dad died, since he's now old enough to understand. Stack describes his dad was harsh and one day he knocked him out. When Stack woke up, Smoke was burning their father to death. Stack offers his dad's guitar to Sammy, who honors him with a song. Eventually, they make it to the train station, where Slim is playing the harmonica. Stack asks him to play at his joint, but Slim refuses, claiming he already has a gig. Noticing that he's a drunkard, Stack alters his mind by providing him more money and all the Irish beer he can drink. Then Slim and Sammy play together, while Stack tells the gathering about his joint opening tonight. He doesn't see his ex-girlfriend Mary watching from distant. After the concert, Sammy flirts with Pearline, who emphasizes she's married. Since she's a singer, Sammy urges her to join the performance tonight. Mary approaches Stack to chastise him for vanishing without a word and not sending flowers at her mother's funeral, that her mom usually takes good care of the twins. Stack pretends not to care to keep her secure, and she walks away. The three leaves in the automobile, and they observe some inmates laboring near the road. Slim notices them and admits to his new buddies that he did some time in prison. Eventually, they stop by the cotton fields to recruit Cornbread, who agrees to work as a bouncer. Back to Smoke, he visits his child's grave and leaves some flowers. He then talks to his ex-wife Annie and asks her to be the joint's cook, even though Annie doesn't like his business idea. When she enters her residence, it's revealed that she's been practicing hoodoo and sells cures to the locals. After the latest clients leave, Smoke says how magic and ghosts don't exist. However, Annie says magic has been working for him since all these years. She's been practicing protection rituals to help the twins. She also realizes that Smoke still wears the mojo bag she created for him. Smoke says he misses her and still loves her, so they end up getting nasty. In the afternoon, burning Irish immigrant named Remick runs to the neighboring cabin and asks for help, adding that the Choctaw tribe is trying to murder him. Joan and Bert put their weapons at him as he falls to his knees, sobbing because the Choctaw took his wife. After witnessing Klan uniforms inside the residence, he offers the couple some gold coins in exchange for their help. Moments afterward, a few Choctaw show up at the cabin to ask about Remick, claiming he's highly dangerous. Joan tells them she hasn't seen anybody and shuts the door on them. After the Choctaw leave, Joan looks for her husband and finds him unconscious on the ground, has a massive wound on his neck, while Remick is coated in his blood. Suddenly, Bert wakes up and his eyes are distinctive. It turns out Remick is a vampire and he assaulted Bert to transform him. Joan screams in horror. That night, the juke joint is open and everyone is having a great time. Smoke is angry when he finds out that Stack's letting customers pay with plantation credits, reminding out that they've used most of their Chicago money and can't afford giveaways. Stack and Annie tell him that if they're willing to bend the rules a bit, then the place will get popular and more people will come with actual money. When Mary tries to enter the joint, Cornbread blocks her way, yet he lets her pass when he finds she's an old childhood buddy. As soon as Sammy sees her, he attempts to push her out because he knows his cousins don't want her there. But Mary ignores his cautions and drags him to the bar for a drink. He wonders why she's allowed to hang out here while she looks white, so she tells that her granddad was half black. She also tells that her mother delivered the twins and nourished them like her own. The conversation is interrupted by Smoke, who adds they sent loads of flowers to her mother while she was still alive. Smoke then alarms Stack, who tries to make Mary depart and even offers to pay her off. She refuses to seize his money, and an altercation follows. Stack ended up saying he still loves her, but won't be with her to safeguard her. He walks off while leaving her in tears. Slim has been playing the piano the whole night, and now it's Sammy's turn to make his debut. Everyone loves it, and soon they're dancing to the music. Sammy's talent is so potent that spirits depicting dancers and musicians from the past and the future join the celebration. After the performance, Sammy takes Pearline to a private room to get wicked. The music has also gained the notice of Remick, Bert, and Joan, who is a vampire too now. When they try to go inside, Cornbread blocks them, and soon the twins come over to check what's occurring. Remick says they're just musicians looking for a location to play, and they share a song, but the twins suppose it's not the kind of music for a juke joint. Then Remick offers to pay, so the twins have to explain that they don't let white people, leading the trio to flee. Afterwards, Smoke tells Sammy he should stay at home and play church music because it's safer, even frightening him with his rifle when Sammy swears he'll leave the plantation to find a better life. However, Sammy is determined and Smoke needs to put his gun aside. Meanwhile, Stack admits to Mary that they're losing money because everyone is paid with plantation credits. Mary thinks she should go after the three musicians to check if they genuinely had cash, and Stack lends her a gun. She sees them singing near the building, and Remick shows her his bizarre gold coins, alleging they're from a different place and time. They start discussing about life and feelings, and for a while Mary thinks they're alright. However, Remick's eyes start glowing crimson, so Mary takes out the revolver and walks away from them. She orders them to leave, and when she tries to get back to the joint, Remick jumps. Moments later, Cornbread needs a potty break, so he leaves Slim guarding the door. While peeing in the woods, Cornbread hears someone whispering his name. Mary returns to the juke joint just in time to watch Pearline perform with Sammy. She gives Stack some gold money and kisses him. Stack quickly pulls back, but Mary urges him to go to a private room to get naughty. The kisses keep Stack so engrossed that he doesn't see the wound on her shoulder. At the same time, Smoke flows to the gambling room because a man has turned violent, utilizing a blade to cut other players. He tries to assault Smoke, who effortlessly overpowers him and holds him at gunpoint. When they search his pockets, they discover loaded dice. The other players proceed to beat the cheater up, and Smoke sends Sammy to locate Stack so they can handle the situation jointly. When Sammy opens the door, he sees the couple getting busy, so he walks back to Smoke to tell him he isn't interrupting. An annoyed Smoke goes to get his brother himself and notices that Cornbread isn't at the front door. Slim believes that Cornbread's peeing is taking too long. Then Smoke finally opens the side door, only to find Vampire Mary biting Stack. Smoke quickly fires her with both his weapons, but she easily rebounds and says that everyone will get slain before running away. Afterwards, Smoke tries to help Stack, but his wound is too deep and he dies in his brother's arms. While Slim kicks, all the visitors leave. Annie tells Smoke that they should leave the body outside and lock all doors, but he refuses. Instead, they imprison the body in the side room. At that moment, Cornbread comes back and requests for permission to enter the building. Annie gets suspicious, and when he refuses to explain why he wants an invitation, she accuses him of being a vampire. Cornbread feels offended and asks for his money before leaving, but when Smoke is about to compensate him, Cornbread displays his vampire face and pulls him out, ready to bite. Smoke immediately shoots him in the face, but it does nothing. When Cornbread tries to strike again, Smoke flees back inside, and they lock the door. At that point, Stack knocks on the side room's door and stabs it used his knife to cut a hole. Stack swears he's okay, but Annie reminds Smoke that Stack died, so this thing isn't his brother anymore. Suddenly, Stack crashes down the door, tackling Sammy in the process. Annie tosses pickled garlic juice at his face, wounding him so brutally that he flees away. While Smoke helps Sammy, Grace says she wants to find her husband, who went out to collect the car. However, Annie convinces her to stay inside until sunrise. Then she tells the gathering all about vampire legend so they can get weapons ready. These creatures can only be killed by garlic, wooden stakes, holy water, silver, and the sun. They start filling jars with garlic and honing chair legs to make them into stakes, while Sammy wonders if their music did this. In private, Annie makes Smoke vow that he'll liberate her if she turns. Afterward, the group finds a deceased guest in the rear room. Sammy and Smoke drag the body out of the building and discover that Remick has transformed hundreds of people who are now dancing and playing instruments around him while he sings. The duo rushes back inside and Annie makes everyone eat garlic to prove they're still human. When Perling complains, Smoke threatens her with his gun to compel her to eat too. Slim bites the garlic and he has a big reaction, but it's just all the alcohol he's drunk tonight. At that moment, a guest knocks on the door and requests to be let in. By the time Smoke opens the door, the guy is already being consumed by cornbread. Then Bo arrives to the doorway and tells Grace that he has the automobile ready to go. When she hesitates, he wants to be permitted inside. The group doesn't trust him, and the talk is interrupted by Remick, who states his strength is the help black people need to establish a new life in a world that has abandoned them. When he threatens to attack Grace's daughter in town, she has a meltdown. Remick also says he wants Sammy's ability to attract more vampires, and states he'll let the group survive if Sammy comes with him, but Smoke doesn't let his cousin move. As additional vampires approach the building, Remick indicates that Hogwood misled the twins. It turns out the clan is still operational, and Hogwood sold that property, so all the local black folks would assemble in one location for easier killing. Stack and Mary want their pals to take Remick's offer and become vampires too. That way they can guard themselves against the clan and finally have true freedom. The group passes down the offer and closes the door, but Grace can't stop thinking about her daughter, and a disagreement follows about how to proceed. At that point, the vampires surround the structure and start singing, causing Grace to go insane by the notion of her daughter becoming wounded. The others hold her back, but it's too late. She yells to invite the vampires to come in. The group rushes to fetch their weapons, and when Remick comes inside, Grace tosses a torch at him, but he knocks it off. Then the vampires storm in, and a big struggle follows. Grace throws Bo against the flames and stabs him with a spear, but sadly the fire reaches her too, and she slowly burns to death. The friends join together to defeat the vampires, murdering them one by one with a combination of bullets and stakes, while they keep each other safe. Unfortunately, there are too many monsters, and they move swiftly. Annie is bitten by Stack, and when Smoke tries to help her, Remick pulls him down. Perling shoots Remick in the shoulder to push him off, and Smoke rushes to Annie's side. However, she's on the point of dying and reminds him of his pledge. Smoke tells her he loves her before stabbing her with a spike to murder her, and Mary and Stack still have enough humanity to be unhappy for her. Afterward, the gang runs upstairs, while Slim stays behind his bait, so the vampires pile up on him to murder him. Remick emerges at the upper door and sends everyone back inside, hoping to grab Sammy, while Stack attacks his sibling. Perline tries stabbing Remick, but he easily pushes her against a beam and bites her. Smoke manages to knock Stack down and shoots at Remick to make him back off. Sammy tries to approach Perline, yet she knows she'll shift soon and makes him leave. By jumping through the upper door, Sammy flees the building but hurts his leg in the process. As he limps away, Remick jumps out of the building too and surprises him from behind. The vampire slices his face and makes him fall into the lake. Remick gets ready to bite Sammy, but hesitates as the boy starts praying. All the other vampires gather around them as they pray too, so Remick gets upset and starts dunking Sammy in the water while yelling against religion. In the building, the twins continue to fight. Both are quite stubborn and refuse to give up. Eventually, Stack manages to tackle Smoke to the ground, but when he attempts to bite him, he can't do it. Smoke utilizes the chance to take over and snatches a stake as he apologizes to Stack for not safeguarding him, pausing when Stack asks him not to feel sorry. At the lake, Sammy utilizes the distraction to grab his guitar and break it on Remick's head, which makes all the vampires squirm in pain. After taking the guitar piece from his head, Remick gets ready to assault again, only to abruptly be stabbed with a stake by Smoke. At that point, the light rises, and all the vampires slowly burn to death. Remick is the last one to depart in a little tornado of flames. Afterward, Smoke makes Sammy leave in his car before the clan shows up. While Sammy arrives at the chapel, Smoke gathers all the guns he can find. Soon Hogwood shows up with a lot of clan men, only to discover the doors locked. Smoke begins fire from the bushes, killing half of the group before he comes out to keep on firing. The clan fires back, injuring him in the stomach. Two men try to leave on a truck, but Smoke throws a grenade at them, and the truck explodes. The only one left is Hogwood, and Smoke takes a cigarette from him while fantasizing that his wife and kid are close. Then Hogwood gives some money, so Smoke shoots him to death. He dies at the same time and reunites with his family. At the church, Sammy refuses to drop his guitar. He tells his father he's not quitting up music and departs Mississippi to head north. Many years later, an old Sammy still plays at clubs. One night he's visited by Mary and Stack, who explains that Smoke couldn't murder them and let them go in exchange for never touching Sammy. The couple can tell Sammy doesn't have much time left and offer to transform him so he can keep making music. Sammy turns them down since he's had enough of the world, but he agrees to play one last song for them. He admits that the performance before the battle was the finest day of his life, and Stack agrees, claiming it was the last time he saw the light, the last time he spent with his sibling, and the last time he felt free. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a comment with your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.